Sometimes cracks in a stone mean a lot, and sometimes they mean nothing. Today, they mean a lot. This stone is completely fractured all the way through, and this is about to go over. You can tell it's already fallen once. Let's make sure that doesn't happen again. This is the headstone of Philip Gans, born March 15th, 1836 in Baden, Germany. But as you can see here, as I'm working on this stone is completely eroded. This cemetery deals with a crazy amount of acidic rain, and all of the white marble in this entire cemetery is essentially eroded away like this. And it's really a big challenge. And so stay tuned to later in the video. I'm going to talk about how we can use a tool, technology, to allow this to be read. I can see that this headstone's been leveled within the last few years because I know the gravel that they use here, and the foundation has also failed. So I'm actually going to take this all the way out, and I'm going to put a grid down if the grid will fit. So I'm going to just kind of lightly excavate around here and see what I want to work with. So there's a missing tablet someplace. So this is a fair example. You wonder about missing headstones sometimes? I do too. So this was just laying here just below the soil, and this is a standard size for it's a 2-inch thick marble tablet stone, but this is the lower part. It would have fractured here. You can tell from the erosion that this is super smooth. It's common, but if you're all wondering like why is there a headstone missing, they do. People, they break, and then people remove them from the cemetery. They bury them. This was buried. What I'm wondering is if there's a lot here where there should be a tablet stone. Maybe, I don't know. We can certainly check around. You hear that? It's potentially the foundation. Yep, so we are dealing with the foundation right there. So we're gonna put a piece of grid right on top of that. And then there's a soft spot over here on this back left corner that we need to fill in. So the grid will work out perfect for this. It's already a foundation, but we've got a soft spot that just isn't gonna last. So make sure that we've got great soil to work with. Without actually taking all this time to level this base, it would be pointless to do this reset. We have to have a level base in order for this headstone to be stable and last a long time. Even if all of our bonds break, at least gravity will still hold it down in place because there's no force with the lean that's causing it to move out of place. So we've taken the time to get this base in place. Now actually let's get the stone base in place now that we've got the foundation ready to go. Just like if our foundation isn't level, this isn't worth it. If we don't clean the surfaces, these are the mating surfaces. And if these aren't clean, this actually isn't going to stay bonded to itself. This is a secondary importance behind leveling. Leveling is the most important. Second is making sure that we have clean surfaces. Something else you're going to notice is that on these stones, the surfaces, the mating surfaces like this, are going to be much more true along the edge here because the manufacturers wanted to make sure that the stones met one piece to the next along the outer edge of it rather than hitting it on the inside. So you're going to see a little bit more pocket mark here on the inside of it on any of these, whereas on the edge, you're going to expect to see something that's a bit more true. They would have spent more time here and they would have knocked this out to make a little bit of a depression just to make sure that there was no high spots in here that would have caused things to be a little bit out of level. So we're looking for a 2.5-inch measurement on the wash all the way around to make sure that this is centered properly. This is actually ironically very square. Sometimes you've got one side that's one dimension, another side that's another dimension, but this is 2.5 all the way around on the wash, which is great. And we've got that, so we are in good shape. So just who was Philip Gans? We can tell from his stone that it's gorgeous. It's this white marble with pink marble, and we know that he was born in Germany, and eventually he came to the US, and eventually he settled in Iowa. But before that, when he was 30 years old in 1866, he married Pauline Augusta Schmeidel in Peoria County, Illinois. She was born in Saxony, Germany. And together in 1870, the two of them moved to Des Moines, and they established a business as a furrier. Now, a furrier is somebody who not only designs and creates custom furs for customers, but also repairs them. And he was known as a prominent member of the community with a very successful furrier business. So we're into the next day, and we still have some more mating surfaces to clean up. Like we've said, if we don't clean these mating surfaces up, the bond isn't going to stick. So we've got our wire brush out today, got some more water, and we're just gonna clean away. If you like the work that we're doing here, consider becoming a Patreon. You guys are the group that really help make this happen. The Patreons is a wonderful community. You can check the link in my description. So thank you to all those Patreons that have been helping out with this. They really, really matter. The other cool thing that we note here is the carver, the manufacturer, the monument company, they put an F on here for front. You don't always see this. Sometimes you see it and it's helpful. And it's certainly helpful for installation for them back in the day. And it's very helpful for me now. People often ask how these monuments are put together, and a lot of people know that there's historically pins in them. You can see one right here. This iron pin is rusting away, and what ends up happening is as it rusts, it expands. We call it rust jacking, and so something like this can actually blow apart a stone. And that's some of the failures that we see in these historic monuments is from the rust jacking. The pins will essentially explode the stone out because of the outward pressure. It's the other issue with pins is that you can get fractures that come with it, not only from the exploding of the stone, but if the actual monument fails, the pin itself can cause secondary damage outside of the original. So the pin is here. When that upper piece came off and fell over, it took that with it. It pulled out. So what can we do that's going to cause the least potential damage in the future? So originally they wouldn't have had an adhesive or epoxies or other types of products that we have, and we want to be as authentic to the stone as we can, but we don't necessarily always want to use pins, because if we put a pin in, we would have to put in some type of binding material, holding material with that, and the pin, it's not necessarily needed from what we have right now. So I could replace it. I have basalt pins with me, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to see if we can get this out. Yeah, that's not going to come out. So that's not going to come out easily. So in that case, we're going to leave that pin in there, and that's fine. I could always take a core bit or something like that and core this out, but that's not something that we're going to do today for this. So we're going to see about leaving that in there. Philip had a thriving business until his untimely death at the age of 43. On January 17th, 1880, he died of typhoid fever. And typhoid fever, it's a bacteria, and it's often spread through contaminated food or water. And those of you like me who grew up playing the Oregon Trail vividly remember that. That was a part of the game. And the reason it was part of the game is because it was so common in that era that people died of typhoid fever and other bacterial diseases like that. It was a very real issue, and it would quickly spread through towns and the regions because you had movements of settlers that were traveling through different states and through the plains in the area that I'm living in now. You guys are going to notice just how eroded this face is, and that's really common in this entire cemetery. There's a lot of marble stones here where the face is just completely eroded away. So much so that I think you might remember another video that I did earlier this year, maybe last year, where I've got this friend, Andy, and he's got a tool that he's developed. It's using photogrammetry, and what it is essentially takes the stone, takes the face of this stone, and it's estimating what would have been here before it eroded away. It's a really cool tool, but the way that you do it is you take a series of photos all over here. And I think the other stone that we did, we had like 90 or 100 photos of that. And so we know who this is. Well, I'm pretty sure because we've got the last name here, I'll be able to find it from cemetery records. But here, this isn't legible. And I would be really curious as what Andy can do with that. So I'm gonna take pictures here, and then I'm gonna overlay this with what kind of results we can get from Andy. So let's get some pictures taken.